guys. Thank you so much for tuning into my YouTube channel. I am working from my dining room because it is a COVID 2021 edition. And I have a very special guest here today and a new friend. His name is John Stefano, and he is a commercial broker with real, is it real estate or
Blanq Real Estate.
Blanq Real Estate, and he's going to give you guys kind of an update on what is going on in commercial real estate in the Queen City amidst COVID.
I got into commercial real estate Dawn, about a year and a half ago, and it was a pretty big career change for me. I'm 40 years old and was doing a completely different field prior to this. My main interest was adaptive reuse projects, taking old mills, of which, Charlotte has just probably hundreds of them, and converting them basically into retail centers or breweries or, some kind of other, more current use. As COVID, progressed, we could basically see that market kind of, it hasn't crested, it's just kind of pulled back, and they're moving more into industrial. What I really saw actually what went into steep contraction during COVID was use of co-working spaces. That business is almost completely turned off now, and there's no investment appetite for it anymore.
Are you seeing anyone trying to reuse those spaces, or are they just waiting this out?
The co-working market was becoming oversaturated prior to this, and then COVID hit, and it was just kind of a double whammy. There was a lot of risk there that wasn't entirely obvious to the operators and landlords when it was going really well. But I haven't seen, real desperation from the landlords yet. I haven't seen panic selling. It kind of seems like everybody still has some liquidity. I think the landlords are waiting for the economy to come back online and for us to start getting, shots into people's arms. And then, they could turn the faucet back on, get cash flow again. But on the other hand, as brokers, we're waiting for, we're waiting for our sellers. So I think everybody's just kind of waiting it out, trying to figure out what's going to happen, what's going on.
The conversations that I'm having in the residential space, when people are asking how strong Charlotte's market is, and if we're going to see a transition between sellers and buyers, and I guess in your case, it's going to be lessors and lessees, is Charlotte going to see a dip if there is a dip in the economy? And what I've been telling people is that Charlotte is sort of insulated, and that because of the diversity of the industries that are coming in, we're not likely to see our market not be healthy in the coming. Is that the conversation that you're having in the commercial world? Or
I've been waiting for, I expected to see the price reduction and the contraction in retail and office first. And I've waited for over a year to see those price reductions in retail and office, and I still haven't seen them yet. As both a broker and an opportunistic buyer myself, because I also invest in properties, but which to me can indicate, hey, landlords just have a lot of liquidity, and they're going to ride this out on their own pocketbook, for as long as possible before, before they have to sell. Like you said, Charlotte's insulated. We're kind of in our bubble because we just have natural growth and naturally healthy fundamentals. But, on the other hand, at the national level, you have the Federal Reserve and the Treasury that are constantly seeking to bolster markets by constantly pumping cash into the market. And I think there's that too. This might just be a plateau. It might not even be a contraction. And then, when we come back online in, 6 months, a year, we're seeing prices on assets that just we didn't think were possible.
People are very curious, especially about office space, how commercial real estate, specifically office spaces, were doing.
We knew this prior to COVID, but now it's become especially pronounced because nobody wants to get in an elevator with somebody else right now. But that younger people want really cool places to work in. There's much more of a collaborative environment in our offices now. So the tower spaces are becoming less valued, I think. And these spaces like adaptive reuse spaces, old mills that are converted into open working spaces and offices are becoming much more valuable.
So you think people are going to be moving from uptown into different areas because of the high rises and
it's already happening. Yeah.
It makes complete sense. I know that there's some bankers that aren't expected to go back to the office until next year. And we're just in 2021 and they're not going back to 2022. That makes good, perfect sense.
Yeah. I just don't think there's going to be as much expansion in uptown for office space. One of the areas that I think you're going to see massive expansion in office space in the next, I think, 5 years, are areas like Noda, Fremore West. I mean, there are plans to bring on massive inventory of office in those areas. The CEO and the CFOs aren't driving the office decisions anymore. They're actually looking at some of their youngest workers and they're saying, like, what kind of work environment, do you want to be around? Like, what amenities do you want to have? I mean, it's the employees that are actually driving the purchasing decisions.
Why do they care what their employees want when they're paying them? Like, I don't think we've actually seen that very much. Like, typically, especially in a banking town, you're seeing like packages for 401k, benefits. Like, I haven't seen or heard of in my network people caring about being able to do anything other than go get a glass of wine down the street and go home. Mm-hmm. So why do you think the CDOs are caring?
Because they could recruit younger talent that way. Okay. That's my whole take on it. And I think ultimately at the end of the day, there are a lot of people who are not necessarily going to take a higher paycheck. They want to work at a place that, especially millennials, I'm going to say this millennial way. They want to work at a space that vibes with them. So
oh, you're a millennial.
I'm a Gen X. I was born in 1980.
You're a millennial, and so am I. We're just
I'm a millennial.
We're both millennials.
Okay. Well, I consider myself a Gen Xer at heart. So
I can remember like the day we went into quarantine, you and I didn't know each other really from a hole in the wall. And we were like on Facebook messaging, like, what's going to happen? I don't know. What do you think is going to happen? I don't know. And
yeah.
It ended up like both of our businesses are thriving and we're very fortunate. For that, I'm grateful.
Yeah, absolutely.
If someone wanted to reach out to you about commercial real estate in the Queen City, how could they get in contact with you?
They can reach out to me at LinkedIn. It's John Stefano at Blanq, BLANQ Real Estate. And my email address is JohnJOHN at Blanq, BLANQ realestate.com.
Thank you again.
Okay. Thanks.